Welcome back to Talking Shop with Property Bank. I'm Edith.
I'm Sharon.
Today we will be discussing about investment properties for young investors. As you know that for properties, it is a relatively low-risk investment vehicle, especially in land-scarce Singapore. And you guys out there will be most familiar with condominiums. And today we're going to add another dimension, which is non-residential properties suitable for young investors like yourself. And well, we'll compare the apples, the oranges, and the bananas. And of course, we will run through the comparison and make sure that we run through with you the young investors so that you make an informed decision.
What are the advantages for residential properties?
And especially new launch, because they are the hot favorites. And new launches are definitely attractive because it comes with the latest design, modern, and of course for developers out there, they also incorporate the latest construction standards and plus the potential for capital appreciation, especially when you buy at a lower new launch price before the location develops further. Plus that, for new launch, you take your time to pay over stages.
What are the downsides for new launch property?
Well, major disadvantage is the waiting time. So the property would be under construction for a few years. That means to say that you cannot generate any rental income during this period. And for new launch itself, you know that for developers, it's always about forward pricing. That means to say that you definitely are buying at a premium compared to the resale properties in the same location.
Speaking of resale properties, what are the benefits then?
Well, for resale properties, you can already move in. Or if not, you can already start to generate the rental income. And oftentimes, they are located in a more mature estate and the amenities are already more developed. The transport itself is also more developed. Plus, the actual unit itself, you can always feel around whether this is your next home or next investment property before you make a decision.
But there are cons for resale properties, right?
Yes, definitely. So for the resale property, somebody has stayed in it before and perhaps the design doesn't really suit you. So you need to spruce it up again. So this renovation cost definitely is on top of the purchase price. So you have to keep it in mind.
Now, let's just gear to non-residential properties. What are the advantages of investing in commercial or industrial properties?
Well, non-residential properties offer higher rental yield compared to residential properties. Moreover, it is a fixed sum contract. There is no such thing as diplomatic clause like as in residential properties. So lease agreement-wise, for commercial industrial properties, they also can be longer and it offers very much the stability in terms of the rental income. And do you know that for non-residential properties, in fact, as investors, you can borrow up to 80%. And if you are a business owner and using it, you can borrow up to 90%. Well, that means your cash flow and your down payment is much lesser. Whereas for residential properties, it's capped at 75% loan itself. And additionally, there is no restrictions to foreign ownership for non-residential property. Plus, you can co-invest. So with a few partners investing together for non-residential.
Wow, that sounds promising. What are the challenges though?
Well, the interest rate is something that you have to take note of. For non-residential properties, interest rate is higher. And also the need to note if your purchase will come with GST. So if it comes with GST, that means to say that you may even need to consider registering a company to claim back your GST. So I think for the new investors, sometimes it can be quite a chore. Well, for non-residential properties, of course, like all others, because it's rented to businesses, it is subject to the economic cycles as well. And do note that for industrial properties, if you sell within 3 years, you are subjected to the capital gains tax.
Now, let's talk about the tax implication. How do they differ from residential and non-residential properties?
Well, for the residential properties, one buzzword to learn is ABSD, Additional Buyer's Stamp Duty. And so for Singaporeans, the first residential properties, you pay 0 for ABSD. But if for the second one, you start to pay 20%. And for third and subsequent is 30% for ABSD for the residential property. Then coming to permanent residents of Singapore, even at the first property, first residential property is already at 5% and 30% for the subsequent residential property. Whereas for foreigners, its very first residential property is already at 60% ABSD. For non-residential properties, there's no ABSD, and this is definitely a very huge advantage to investors, especially for foreigners. However, we spoke about the GST, which is the Goods and Service Tax. If you are buying from a GST registered seller for the property. So as mentioned earlier also, there is capital gains tax if you sell your industrial property within the first 3 years of the purchase.
How about property management of your properties?
Well, you can either self-manage or you perhaps get your housing agent to help you, or you can also get a company to help you property manage your residential or non-residential properties. So for the residential properties, well, think about this when you self-manage, like pest control, like termites, like even your tenant will also complain about the chokage of the toilet bowl. There's so much to take care of. I think that can be really taking time away from your professional work if you are employed. And well, the other part of it, for the non-residential property, it is slightly more hassle-free because there and then the companies will get their own staff to help to make sure that things are going well, the property is at perfectness when they are doing their day-to-day work. And if you do recall, our earlier YouTube shares about professional property management. That is when the day one, when the property is being handed over, documentation is done proper, and the day that the tenant's lease expires, the checkout is also professionally done. So give us a thought if you want property management for your non-residential property.
Wow, there's a lot of things to consider. It's not easy decisions.
Yeah, just like when you go to supermarket, do you pick apples, oranges, or bananas? Yeah, so it's a choice. Yeah, so I think for myself, if I were to be very practical with my left brain, which is I calculate, right? I think for foreigners, definitely for Singapore properties, please consider the non-residential properties.
But if foreigners, they feel that, I love Singapore, I don't mind paying the 60%, it's also good to buy residential properties.
Yes, that I agree. If it is something that you're prepared to set aside that 60% to pay the ABSD, by all means, go and buy your residential properties. But if for those investors who are looking beyond and they want to leverage and save the 60% ABSD, foreigners, please look into non-residential properties. And for the Singaporeans and the permanent residents here, you have options. Yeah, new launch.
Yes, it really depends on the piece of and your comfort zone.
Yes, indeed. So, however, if you are still quite messed up what to pick, apples, oranges, or bananas, well, not as simple as that, right? So, because property investment is a heavy investment itself. So, if you're not that sure, do connect with us, and that's do WhatsApp us 8333-1338. Yes, and do you know that we are also organizing this 7-11, which is on the 11th of July, the seminar, where we will have a Zoom. So click the link in the description below and sign up for register and hear through our Zoom at the comfort of your home.
See you soon.
Yeah, bank on us for properties.